When you decide to study for Security AI+, the first real challenge is not understanding AI or security concepts, because you will learn those with time and repetition. The first challenge is building a plan you can actually live with, because the best plan on paper is useless if your real week keeps knocking it over. A spoken study plan means the plan makes sense when you say it out loud, and it matches how your life actually runs, not how you wish it ran. If you can describe your plan in one breath to someone else, you can probably follow it, because it's clear, realistic, and grounded. The goal here is to turn the exam blueprint into a calendar routine that feels steady rather than stressful. You are not trying to become an expert in a month. You are trying to build reliable competence that shows up on exam day. By the end of this episode, you should be able to turn objectives into sessions, sessions into weeks, and weeks into a repeatable rhythm that survives busy days. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Start by reframing the blueprint as a set of buckets you will revisit, not a checklist you will finish once and never see again. Beginners often try to study in a straight line, like reading a book from page 1 to the end, and that usually creates a false sense of progress followed by a crash in memory. For an exam that mixes AI concepts with security judgment, you need spacing and repetition so ideas have time to settle. Imagine each objective as a dial you turn up slowly, not a box you tick. Your plan should assume that you will forget parts of what you learned and then relearn them faster the second time, because that is how learning actually works. This is good news, not bad news, because relearning is proof your brain is building pathways. A realistic plan bakes in review cycles on purpose instead of treating forgetting like a failure. Next, decide how much time you truly have per week and be honest in a way that protects you from quitting. If your calendar is heavy, your plan should be lighter and longer, because consistency beats intensity when you are new. A plan that demands 2 hours every day might look impressive, but it often fails by day 4, and then you feel behind, and then you stop. A plan that asks for smaller sessions more often can feel less heroic, but it builds momentum and reduces the emotional cost of missing a day. Think in terms of minimum viable study, meaning the smallest amount of study you can do and still call it a win. Then add optional time on top, like a bonus round, so busy weeks do not break the system. When the plan is built for real life, you stop negotiating with yourself every day. Now take your weekly time and divide it into 3 kinds of sessions that match how memory and understanding grow. You need learning sessions where you meet new ideas, review sessions where you strengthen what you already touched, and question practice sessions where you learn how the exam asks for that knowledge. The mistake is doing only learning sessions, because that feels productive but doesn't build retrieval, which is the ability to pull knowledge out under pressure. Another mistake is doing only questions too early, because you can end up memorizing question patterns without understanding the concepts, which collapses when the exam changes the wording. You want a blend that shifts over time, starting with more learning and then gradually increasing practice and review as you approach the test. The calendar should reflect that shift, so you are not scrambling at the end. A spoken plan might sound like, I learn new material twice a week, I review twice a week, and I practice questions on the weekend, with flexibility baked in. To make the plan objective-driven, choose a small set of objectives for each week and build sessions around them like a theme. This works better than trying to cover random bits, because your brain likes coherent chunks. For example, you might decide one week is about model basics and life cycle thinking, while another week is about metrics and validation, and another week is about threats and controls around generative systems. The specific themes will come from your episode list and the blueprint, but the method stays the same. Keep the scope narrow enough that you can return to it multiple times in a week. When you revisit the same theme, you start noticing connections, like how model evaluation links to risk, or how life cycle stages change what can go wrong. Those connections are what the exam is really testing when it asks scenario questions. A plan that creates connections is stronger than a plan that collects definitions. Because this is audio-first studying, your plan should include spoken recall, not just silent reading. Spoken recall is when you try to explain an idea out loud in plain language, as if you were teaching it to someone who knows nothing about it. The reason this matters is that speaking exposes gaps quickly because you can't hide behind recognition. You might recognize the phrase bias variance trade-off when you see it, but can you explain it cleanly without looking? If you can't, the concept is not stable yet, and the exam will likely find that weakness. Spoken recall can be done while walking, driving, or doing simple chores, and that makes it calendar-friendly. It also trains you to think in complete sentences, which is how you will reason through scenarios under time pressure. A study plan that includes short spoken explanations can transform dead time into progress without adding stress. A simple way to structure a spoken recall session is to pick one objective and talk through 3 pieces: what it is, why it matters for security, and how it shows up in a scenario. If you can do that, you are building the exact mental path the exam wants. If you stumble, you don't punish yourself. You note the gap and patch it later in a learning session. Over time, your spoken explanations become smoother, and you start using fewer vague words like stuff or things and more precise language like model, training data, evaluation metric, drift, and control. Precision is not about sounding smart. It's about reducing confusion. When your explanations are precise, answer choices become easier to eliminate because you can tell what does and does not match the question's goal. This is also how you reduce test anxiety, because confidence comes from being able to say the idea clearly, not from hoping you remember it later. Now let's fit the plan to your calendar in a way that survives interruptions. Most people have predictable friction points, like Mondays being chaotic, evenings being tired, or weekends being crowded. Put your hardest sessions where your brain is freshest, not where you feel guilty. If you are sharp in the morning, make your learning sessions morning sessions, because new material requires more focus. Put review sessions in lower energy slots, because reviewing is easier and still valuable. Put practice questions in a slot where you can concentrate without being rushed, because practice is not just answering, it's reflecting on why an answer is right. Also plan for a catch-up slot, a built-in buffer that exists specifically because life happens. If you miss a session, the buffer absorbs it, and the plan stays intact, which protects your motivation. As your plan moves forward, you should use a spiral approach, meaning you return to earlier objectives even while adding new ones. This matters for Security AI Plus because later topics often depend on earlier ones, like understanding metrics before you can interpret risk or understanding model types before you can evaluate misuse. A spiral plan might revisit fundamentals every week for a short time, even as you progress. That might feel like slowing down, but it actually speeds you up because it prevents fragile learning. Fragile learning is when you can answer a question right after studying, but can't answer it 2 weeks later. The exam does not care what you knew last Tuesday. It cares what you can retrieve on exam day. A spiral plan is how you turn short-term familiarity into long-term recall. You also need a way to measure progress that is honest but not discouraging. Many beginners measure progress by pages read or hours spent, but those are activity metrics, not learning metrics. A better progress check is whether you can explain the idea, distinguish it from similar ideas, and apply it in a simple scenario. Another good check is whether your wrong answers are improving, meaning you are missing questions for narrower, more specific reasons instead of broad confusion. When your errors become specific, you are getting closer. Build a weekly checkpoint where you do a small set of mixed questions or mixed recall prompts across multiple objectives, because the exam will mix topics too. This mixed practice teaches your brain to switch gears, which is a hidden exam skill. Progress is not a straight line, so your plan should treat dips as normal. Let's talk about pacing across the full study window, because the calendar needs phases. Early on, the focus is building a base vocabulary and mental models, so you don't get lost in later details. In the middle, the focus shifts to making connections and practicing how to choose the best answer under constraints. Near the end, the focus shifts again to exam mechanics, speed, and confidence, because you want your knowledge to be accessible quickly. If you treat every week the same, you might arrive at the end with lots of notes, but not enough retrieval practice. Your calendar should reflect the phases by gradually increasing the amount of practice and mixed review. This does not mean cramming. It means training your brain for the type of work the test demands. A calm ramp-up beats a frantic sprint. A common mistake is building a plan that depends on perfect attention and perfect mood, which is not how humans work. Some days you will be tired, distracted, or stressed, and the plan should still offer something useful to do. This is where having a menu of short options helps, even though your main schedule stays simple. On a low-energy day, you might do spoken recall of one concept, or review a few key distinctions, or analyze a couple of practice questions slowly. The point is to keep the chain unbroken, because consistency builds identity, and identity builds follow-through. When you see yourself as someone who studies in small, regular steps, you don't need willpower as often. A plan that respects your human brain will outperform a plan that tries to shame you into being a robot. Finally, your spoken plan should end each week with a short reflection that adjusts the next week without drama. Ask yourself what sessions you actually did, what time slots worked, and what objectives still feel slippery when you try to explain them. Then make a small adjustment, like moving a learning session to a better slot or reducing scope for the next week. This is not about being perfect, it's about staying in motion. Over a few weeks, the plan becomes personalized to your calendar, and that's when studying feels less like forcing and more like routine. When routine takes over, the exam becomes less scary because your preparation is no longer a gamble. You can say, out loud, what you're doing this week, why you're doing it, and how it connects to the objectives. And that is exactly what a spoken study plan is meant to do.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.